morning, one and all. On behalf of RIFER, I welcome you all for the third day session of STTP on phytochemical isolation, standardization and biological evaluation of herbal medicines. Today's first session by Dr. Varalakshmi ma'am on advances in the standardization of herbal medicine. So I request Ms. Ligita ma'am to introduce today's speaker.
Good morning everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Varalakshmi ma'am. Dr. Varalakshmi ma'am currently working as teaching faculty in SKU College of Pharmaceutical Science, Anantapur from 2009. Ma'am submitted her thesis for PhD degree in pharmaceutical science in Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalayam. Ma'am obtained her master's and bachelor degree from SPM VV Tirupati, and ma'am published various papers and authorized one book chapter. Ma'am guided 18 M.Pharm and B.Pharm students. Madam research interest is synthetic chemistry and molecular docking studies. Madam is a life member and serving as a vice president for IPA local branch Anantapur. Ma'am received NSS award best program officer in 2019 and received best teacher pharmacist award in 2016 and received best paper award in various conferences. Ma'am participated in several FTPs, workshops and conferences and seminars. Ma'am organized various conferences and served as an organizing member, co-convener and convener. She delivered lectures in various FTPs and STPs as a resource person. With this brief introduction, I request Ms. Dr. Varalakshmi ma'am to give the session.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction. Very good morning to one and all. Thank you for the nice introduction. First, I would like to thank the organizers, Dr. Somshekhar sir, Pradeep sir, Sudhir sir, and Principal Sir Y. Padmanabh Reddy sir for giving me an opportunity to share my expertise in this particular FTP program. Okay, now I'll start my presentation on advances in the standardization of herbal medicine. Okay, so before going to the topic, we should know why we are discussing this particular topic on this particular platform. First, I would like to congratulate the organizers too for choosing this particular topic in this particular COVID pandemic. I think every one of us are aware that how we are using the herbs to enhance our immunity, especially whatever the condiments and whatever the spices which we are using, the herbs what we used for the last 2 years. I think most of us are having valuable information regarding the herbs with pharmacological or therapeutic significance too. So this is the right time to discuss about the significance as well as how best we can identify the quality herbs to use in a proper manner and to get the maximum therapeutic advances from that. So here, a herb. What is a herb? Herb, we might have studied the definition stating that it is the one which doesn't have a strong stem like that. Other than that, there is one more thing, that is a herb is the one which can be used as a flowering agent or a therapeutic agent too. So here, when a term herbal drug means what? A drug is nothing but a constituent which is obtained from the plant or a part of the plant itself which is converted into a phytochemical one or phytopharmaceutical by processing that from a natural obtained API to a formulation. We will be calling that as herbal drug. Now here, What I told that, yes, this is the very important topic that is regarding the herbal medicine, and here the herbal medicines are not new for us. Up to 18th century, if you see the literatures that has been reported, after 18th century only, with the advances in the synthetic chemistry, most of us are using the synthetic drugs for the treatment of different health elements. Before that, our ancestors used to have different formulations, and they used to cure different health issues or elements too. Okay, so why we need to have an idea about the herbs, standardization of the herbal drugs? Because when it comes, every one of us desire to have a quality life. The way we live, the way the food we take, and what the lifestyle we adopt, everything we require a quality things. We will be concentrating most of the times on the quality, isn't it? మన అందరికీ quality life, we have that. For that only we are struggling for the existence to have a betterment in the life too. So when we are planning for a quality, then that quality doesn't come with the simple what we superficially notice on that particular table. What the table you are seeing, it may be clear from the outside. If we examine that microscopically, it may not. Okay, so this is the crucial part before using any kind of herb, because the herbal drugs means they are of natural origin. Mostly they are from plants, and few of the animal constituents or the chemical constituents which are obtained from the animals also we are using for pharmacological activities. So this particular evaluation of the herbal drugs is very important, because if you notice herbs like the plants which are present outside, you may find some plant name or some other plant which is present outside. Can you eat as such? No. It need to be properly cleaned, then it need to be consumed. That means for every consumption, there must be some standards that need to be adopted, followed and executed to have a standard quality. Okay? So in the 21st century, I told you in the 18th century, after 18th century, with the advances in the technology, there has been most of the significance was drawn towards the synthetic drugs. In 21st century, if you notice that these three branches has drawn the interest towards the drug discovery process. They are biotechnology, herbal technology, information technology, that is nothing but the bioinformatics, and these are the powerful branches or the parts or the parts of the science which are being mostly involved in the design and discovery of the drugs. So before going to that, why herbal drugs are drawn interest again after 18th century? Now most of us, we are moving towards the herbal drugs, and we are taking that too. So here there are some evidences, as the coin has two faces, isn't it? So everything will have two faces, positives and negatives. Though the synthetic drugs are curing most of the diseases, there are some incidences where it has been reverted in, that means though it has some pharmacological significance, it has shown a drastic or what we can say uncured impact on the health of the individuals also. If you see this iatrogenic diseases, which was noticed in the USA, the fourth most cause of death. Okay? And here the side effects of the drugs where Americans, because in USA and Japan, there are more synthetic drugs have been produced and they filed the patents too. Okay, so but when we take Chinese, they are more sticking to the herbs itself. If you see the patents, most of them were filed by the Chinese herbs. We will be calling most of the herbs as Chinese herbs too. Okay, so these are some of the strategies that were noticed and reported. And these are the problems with modern drugs during the discovery process. Do you notice any drug that has been discovered in India? Why? What is the reason? Economy. That means, see, the drug discovery process has lot of stages where it need to clear and it needs lot of investment and time too. Okay, so if at all it passes all the stages and completes the manufacturing as well as proven after crossing the clinical trials also, if it proves to be a good drug, for example, if you take the thalidomide, okay, what for it is used first? Yeah. Why it has been withdrawn? Yeah, limbless chains, isn't it? That means, though how many stages it cleared, isn't it, from API to converting a formulation, and then after that it has to clear the clinical trials too. So much of investment has been done, but again it has been withdrawn from the market, isn't it? So there are some drawbacks for which we can't go for a synthetic drug. And toxicity, that means heterogenic diseases that were caused due to a formulation, this is the term now used for that, and non-renewable source of basic raw materials. That means if we want to go for a synthetic drug, we need to have again the synthesis of the starting materials. If you take the herbal drug formulation, the starting material, the resources are abundant because they are obtained from the nature. We can collect, process, and we can prepare the formulation from the active constituents that are being isolated from the natural sources. But when we go for the synthetic drugs, here the non-renewable source, that means we need to invest again for the starting materials too. So that is one more drawback. And environmental pollution by the chemical industry, this is known fact. And inadequate, especially in the management of certain chronic diseases, there are no proper drugs for the maintenance of chronic diseases. See, why we are taking the anti-cancer drugs, though there is a side effect like hair fall? Because we don't have any another alternative drug which can be used for the chemotherapy. That's why, though it is, we will be studying that cancer patients will be having hair loss. Is it not a side effect? Yeah, but still we are taking that because of the lack of the drug without side effect. We are using that for the chemotherapy. Okay, so because of all those side effects, disadvantages, that has been reported on the synthetic drugs, this particular herbal drugs are being used mostly now. Okay, so the use of herbs as medicine, I told this is the oldest healthcare system because from the beginning of the ancient human life, the herbs are being used not only as medicine. For the ancient human beings, it is also a source of food, isn't it? The health supplements are mostly obtained from the plants itself. They don't have artificial food that has been collected. And here the early humans, that's what I told. They used this early life, they used to have the plant resources for clothing, food, shelter, and also as medicine to cure the elements. And now the knowledge of plant-based drugs developed gradually with the increase of the technology, and there has been lot of advancements even in the analytical techniques too. Okay, so the herbal medicine is the major part of all the traditional medicine what we are using. Now, we have seen what the herbal medicine is. Now we will see the title, what title is the advances in the standardization of herbal medicine. So before going to the techniques, first we will see what is standardization. Here, standardization is nothing but a simple term which defines the quality, purity and efficacy of the herbal medicine or the active component that has been isolated from a plant, or I can simply say that the estimation of the quality, purity and efficacy of a phytochemical constituent or a herbal formulation we can estimate by the process of standardization. And here we may estimate these three components by means of parameters like morphological, microscopical examination, physicochemical parameters and biological observations. Okay, so why we need the standardization of herbal drug? See, when we talk about the synthetic formulation, you might have seen lot of things that are related to how the constituents should be. There are stringent guidelines are there for the synthetic drug, and as they are obtained by means of synthetic route, and the purity will be checked in each and every step of processing, and after that also, that means you all know that what are the steps that need to clear by a chemical entity or an API to become a form, that means a formulation. That means stringent guidelines are defined for synthetic drugs. But whereas in case of herbal drugs, there are some guidelines that are issued by the WHO, but there are some lacunas too in establishing or in implementing that guidelines. Why? Because if we take the plants, the constituents that are present in the plants will be varying with the geographical distribution, as well as the constituents may not be of the same percentage that are present in a particular plant that is present in different locations too. That means the constituents and the percentage of the constituents vary with the plant, where we cannot imply a same standardization procedure for the same plant also. But in case of synthetic drugs, they are being produced from the same synthetic route, from the same starting material. So there won't be that much deviation in the case of standardization procedures as in case of herbal drug. Okay, so here the lack of quality standards has resulted in mild to serious adverse effect because of lack of standardization, or without following the standardization technique, it might have resulted in lot of toxicity profiles. It may be like hepatotoxicity, or what may be the toxicities that it means it will be affecting nephrotoxicity, it will be affecting all parts of the body if standards are not maintained. Okay, so this I told, World Health Organization has set specific guidelines for maintaining the quality of the drug. So this stability testing depends upon the factors what I told, the geographical factors like temperature, humidity, light, oxygen, moisture, because the oxygen content. See, here in the formulation also there are lot of things. When we collect from the nature, it need to be cured, that means it need to be treated, then isolation, then that isolation component need to withstand all the temperatures, pressures, all the conditions to become a formulation, isn't it? So from each and every step, it need to maintain its stable identity till the transformation of a chemical entity to the formulation. And the metal contamination leaching from the container, these are the stability factors that need to be considered, and we will be discussing about all these in the coming slides. Okay, so why this safety issue is coming? What are the problems? Poor quality of the products, because nowadays I told you during this pandemic we are using different condiments. You might have noticed a simple thing, pepper. We used to have in the herbal tea also, isn't it? In pepper, if you notice in the pack, you may find a few will be very dark black in color, and few will be in brown. Do you think both are same? The volatile constituents that are present may be varied, but we are consuming it, isn't it? So there are a lot of quality issues of the product, though visibly they are like cinnamon also the same. Everything, cloves, cinnamon, all whatever the naturally used condiments what we are using, though they are visibly good, we can't estimate how the phytochemical constituents that are present in that. Okay, so there are quality issues, toxicity profiles has been reported, and interactions with the other medications, misuse of the herbal drugs, incorrect dosage, because incorrect dosage, yes, this is one more thing as a pharmacist we need to know. If we are taking a paracetamol tablet, then it have a specific dose, isn't it? Then when we are consuming a herb like plant, we are taking, how much quantity we are taking inside, whether it is causing any harmful effect or not, that we can't judge. Are there any defined dosage of the herbal drugs, what the quantity we are taking, anything that is prescribed? No. A few of the herbal formulations which are there as a tablets, that may be, if you see most of the Himalaya products also on the label they will be prescribed like you can take 1 or 2 tablets per day or as directed by the physician, isn't it? There are tablets, there will be something, but when we are taking from the nature, we can't estimate how much dose we are taking. So all these factors we need to consider while taking the herbs. Mistaken use of wrong species. In mushrooms also we have different species, one may be edible and the other may be hazardous to the health. And adulteration, this is the most important thing nowadays we are facing with. Why adulteration is taking place in the drugs? Why? Any reason?
Profit. For sake of profit.
Okay. Selfishness of the humans itself. Sake of profit. Okay. Anything else? See, there is one more reason. Yeah, most of them are using. See, when there is need, they are creating a demand for that, and they are increasing the adulteration too. Along with that, if you see in the recent days, most of the fertile lands are being converted into industries or buildings too. That means we are like deforestation. That may be the reason too for the lack of natural resources that can be used for us. Okay, in our college life also, most of my teachers used to tell, though turmeric is the plant from our India, but the patent has been filed by, yeah, that is the case. Okay. So the 3 pillars ideal for the herbal drug for the rational use is quality, safety and efficacy. These 3 are need to be maintained appropriately for the consumption. Now the most important thing is the standardization. Here we will be using organoleptic, and this is botanical, that means where it includes macroscopic examination and microscopic examination, and physical evaluation, chemical evaluation, where we will be qualitatively and quantitatively assessing the constituents that are present in the plant, and biological evaluation where we will be establishing the biological significance of that particular herb or herbal formulation. Okay, so these are the different techniques what we have shown. The first one is macroscopic examination. Next slide please. See, under macroscopic, that means what we see, isn't it? So organoleptic evaluation, that means what is the color, odor, size, shape, taste, and what the feel, the touch we feel with the texture, all these are being examined, because this organoleptic parameter or evaluation comes under the macroscopic, that means with the eye what we can see that are being noticed. If we are seeing, I told pepper, by seeing that color itself we can say whether it is a pure one or impure one. The leaf shape or size or the smoothness also we can say. If most of the plant material, when it has a waxy coating, thick waxy coating, we can judge how it is, isn't it? So this organoleptic evaluation is the primary evaluation which will be carried out for each and every one. So it will give the majority of information related to the identity, purity, quality of the material, as well as sometimes this is used as authentic specimen, okay, to study the any plant material as per the pharmacopoeia also. And this is the most simplest and quickest way to establish or to examine or to identify what the plant is. That means for the authentication purpose. Now, see, this particular macroscopic evaluation, is it an exact one? That we can't. Because what we perceive, what we smell, what we taste, that depends upon or that vary with the individual perception also. Okay, so here the judgment based upon the sensory characters of the individuals from person to person and time to time, because the ingredients, the phytochemical constituents, as most of them will have the volatile constituents, it will vary with the time also. So because of that there will be a deviation in this particular macroscopic or organoleptic evaluation, and further, so no preliminary treatment is necessary for having this organoleptic evaluation. Then microscopic examination. See, these are the steps which you might have done in your pharmacognostic study also. Microscopic examination, where we will be observing the parts of the plants or the microscopic sections under the microscope. For example, for pollen morphology has been used for the identification of a flower, okay, which will be characteristic for that particular plant also. And leaf stomatal index is one of the measure for the identification of the plants, which you might have done in your practicals also. And see, this is the one, that means Urtica urens, which is also called stinging nettle, is an example. Here we can identify the different plants, different parts of a single plant too by means of microscopic examination. For that I quoted this example, because the aerial parts of this particular Urtica urens is used to treat the rheumatism, while the roots are applicable, used for prostate hyperplasia. Okay, so these are the different microscopic parameters that are being evaluated or used. Starch grains, the stomata of Disdalis and trichomes of Nux vomica. Next important thing is determination of foreign matter. Okay, so as these herbs are of natural origin, it may have a foreign particles, it may have contaminated with heavy metals or microbial contamination. All these need to be estimated in this standardization techniques also. So animal matter such as insects and invisible microbial contaminants which can produce toxins are also among the potential contaminants of herbal medicine. Okay, and further here this particular macroscopic examination is useful for few of the things I told you by observing the plants. What is the, if you can notice the dust, isn't it? Some features like waxy coating or some microbial contaminants are visible, and you can see that by means of macroscopic examination. I'm talking about macro, okay? Further, there are some chemical residues which can be identified by means of chromatographic techniques. It may be, this TLC is the simple technique which is used for the examination or the for identification of the contaminants. Ash values and extractives. Okay, so this ash values and extractives is also one of the parameters for identification of the plants. Here, whatever the residues that are being obtained after the incineration of a particular plant part or the plant, we will be calling that as ash content. And here this ash content may be total ash content, acid insoluble ash, water soluble ash. What is this total ash content? That means this is the total ash that is obtained from a plant or plant material after the incineration. And acid insoluble ash is the residue that is obtained after boiling with the total ash with dilute HCl and then igniting the remaining insoluble material. We will be calling that as acid insoluble ash. And finally, the water soluble ash is the difference in weight between the total ash, that is this what is obtained after the complete incineration, and the residue obtained after treatment with water. So these are also three parameters which are used for the identification of the components. And the toxicological standardization, this is very important because this will be affecting the humans or produces the hazardous effects a lot because of pesticides, presence of heavy metals, or the radioactive contamination and aflatoxins. See, determination of heavy plants, this I placed where we will be using lot of pesticides for the plants or to kill the microorganisms. We will be using the pesticides which may have, which are the sources for the heavy metals like arsenic, copper, mercury, lead or cadmium. And there may be growth of this mycotoxin, that is which is obtained due to the moisture that is present on any herbal medicine or the herb too. Okay, so this is the cycle by all means where the pesticides or the heavy metals gets deposited in the plants. Okay, so the contamination by toxic metals may be accidental or intentional. Accidental means by means of any other route like pollution, which see, one of my colleague has carried out one research work, that is continuous exposure of the fruits that are laid down beside the road, and they are examined for the heavy metals. Okay, and shocking is that there were traces of heavy metals in the fruits which were continuously exposed to the vehicles. Okay, that is not intentionally done by the seller, but unknowingly. Okay, so that means there are, whatever we take in our daily routine life, we may not know what we are taking and how much the quality of the food we are taking. Okay, so the contamination by heavy metals such as mercury, lead, copper, cadmium and arsenic in herbal medicines can be attributed to many causes, and which are proven to be clinically relevant dangers has been reported too. And here the determination of heavy metals, even in your B.Pharmacy first year itself, you might have done the experiments that are related to the determination of heavy metals like arsenic estimations. You might have done limit test also, isn't it? Where you will be comparing your sample with the known sample, and based upon the turbidity or the color that has been produced, you will be estimating whether that heavy or whether the metal is present in the sample or not. Okay. And instrumental analysis, nowadays there are a lot of techniques has been developed in the analysis, and these analytical techniques are playing a crucial role in identification of the drugs also. Okay, next one is radioactive contamination. And here this exposure cannot be avoided because many naturally occurring sources including radionuclides occur in ground and atmosphere also. Okay, aflatoxins. Okay, so here next slide you show, then you come to this slide. Next. Okay, you go to the previous slides itself. See. Determination of microbial contaminants and aflatoxins. Okay, microbial contamination. See, in the herbal drugs, each and every step from the collection to the formulation, each and every step is important, and particularly storage conditions, isn't it? The moisture that is present, the exposure to the oxygen, free oxygen may sometimes causes the degradation of the drug, or sometimes there may be development of the fungus, isn't it? Have you noticed? Actually I placed one, these are see differently accumulated fungus or degraded products, all these are. This is turmeric which is being coated because of the moisture entrapment. If it is not properly stored, it will be having fungus. Okay, these are onions. Okay, that means the poor methods of harvesting, cleaning, drying, handling and storage may cause additional contamination. Okay, next. So these are the various means by which it will be getting contaminated from the soil. Fungal spores, bacterial spores and viruses will be entering into the plant, and here also superficial exposure through air and soil, where the different vectors like humans, birds, rodents, insects and water, air and dust will be contaminating the plants. So here the laboratory procedures are there which were well established by means of pharmacopoeias, as well as the guidelines that are issued by the World Health Organization also. In general, a complete procedure consists of determining the total aerobic microbial content. This practicals also you might have done in your labs, where the total microbial count we will be calculating, and the total fungal count. And this Staphylococcus aureus, Shigella, E. coli are the most found species. And not only this, there are number. Just for quoting as an example, I mentioned this species only. And here especially the European Pharmacopoeia also specifies that E. coli and Salmonella species should be absent from herbal preparation. Actually, in few of the herbal formulations, a certain level of contamination is allowed, but this level should depend upon the processing of the drug. That means when we are collecting the drug, there is certain extent of contamination that is being allowed based on the process what is employed for the formulation. That means here, if that particular herbal formulation preparation it involves boiling with water, then what happens? Then definitely there will be degradation or destroy of that particular microbial contaminants that are present in the herb, isn't it? So when there is an allowed contamination based upon the way or the method of processing the herbal preparation. See, this is listoriasis is one of the disease which is caused by the infection of Listeria cytogenes. Okay, here by this is caused by eating food contaminated with this particular bacteria. See, it can affect all the parts, chest, abdomen, bones and joints. When raw sprouts are taken, it may be infected with this particular Listeria species. These are the food materials that may be contaminated by means of that Listeria bacterium. Aflatoxins. Okay, so these aflatoxins are the poisonous substances that were produced in the spores of fungus Aspergillus flavus, and the toxin is reported to produce cancer in human beings living in warm as well as humid region of the world. Actually, this is produced in the nut cereals contaminated by the fungus. I'll show you one bit. See, this is what. Okay, so this is the aflatoxin. And procedures for the determination aflatoxin contamination has been reported or published by the WHO guidelines. And after a thorough cleanup procedure, okay, so we can clean this and further TLC will be used as an analytical tool for the confirmation of this particular contaminant. Chemical methods. Why these chemical methods are used as a standardization tool means, here the first, whatever the three pillars for the herbal medicine, that is quality, purity and efficacy. See, the quality means, what the quality means. What is quality? What the constituents are, isn't it? What the constituents. Qualitative analysis, where we will be using for the identification purpose, or what the chemical constituents are in a particular plant species or anything we will be determining by means of qualitative analysis. Quality, purity and efficacy are the three pillars in determining or in the usage of any herbal medicine. This chemical constituents, how much quantity the chemical constituents are present in a particular plant are important, how much pure they are present, that is also important, and efficacy, that means how much biologically significant that constituent that is present or reported in a particular plant is also important. So that qualitative, quantitative as well as therapeutic significance of a particular plant can be determined by means of chemical methods. Okay, so here the isolation, purification, identification of the active constituents can be done by means of chemical method evaluation. For example, there are evaluation tests of resins, because if we start a pharmacognostic study with a particular plant, we will be starting with the estimation of the phytoconstituents. That means what are the criteria or the category of the constituents they constitute. That means whether they are having alkaloids, they are having tannins, flavonoids, that phytochemical screening we will be carrying out first. So here we will be checking what the evaluation test for resins we can determine by means of acid value, sulfated ash, and evaluation test for balsams, it is acid value, saponification. These were just examples I am quoting for chemical methods. And the qualitative chemical tests are also useful for the identification of the chemical constituents that are present. Now we will go on with physical standardization of the herbal drugs, where we will discuss about the viscosity, melting point, solubility, moisture content and volatile matter, specificity, density, optical rotation and refractive index, viscosity. See, when we are extracting from a particular plant part or a plant, based upon the constituents, the number of constituents or the percentage of constituents, the viscosity of that particular extract will vary. Will you agree? Isn't it? The viscosity of a particular extract will be determined based upon the percentage of the constituents that are being isolated or extracted at that comes into the extraction. Hence, it is also used as one of the tool for the identification or standardizing tool. Especially this is used for the liquid drugs, melting point. This is a known fact that every drug will have its own specific melting point. So this is also used as one of the tool for the quality control or standardization. Here in case of pure photochemical or phytochemical, melting points are very sharp and constant because every particular phytoconstituent or the synthetic chemical will have a sharp and constant melting point which determines its purity also. Okay, the crude drugs from the plant or animal origin containing the mixed chemicals are described with a certain range of melting point and their purity can be ascertained by determining the melting point. Take for example, here this is a range will be mentioned for few of the compounds. Here 75 to 80 degrees if it undergoes melt, that means melting point of colophony and cocoa butter. Solubility. Yes, this is also important because the solubility of any particular compound determines what the nature is, whether it is polar, non-polar, because you might have studied during the extraction process you may be using different kinds of solvents based upon the phytoconstituents that are present. If a particular plant is having a mixture of polar and non-polar constituents, we will be using a ratio of polar and the non-polar solvents, like you will be using chloroform and ethanol, or you will be using N-hexane or ethanol. You will be changing, or a few of the times you will be using or you will be going with ethanol itself. Okay, that depends on what the constituents we are interested to isolate or to extract and what is the nature of the constituents that the plant constitute. Okay, so here the asafoetida is soluble in carbon disulfide. If you take the asafoetida and if you check if you want to check the purity, you can take carbon disulfide and you can check the quality and purity of asafoetida also. Then moisture content and volatile matter. This is one of the important parameter which greatly influences the stability of the drugs, because volatile matter is nothing but the constituents, and why this moisture content is important means this greatly varies the stability of the compound. The exposure of any particular compound to the moisture may cause the hydrolytic cleavage of the phytochemical constituents by activating the enzymes that are present in the plants or the plant constituents, or sometimes it may cause the oxidation of the constituents also. Because of that, there are techniques. There is standard techniques for the establishment of moisture content, and it is very important to mention on that particular phytochemical constituents or package that is mentioned. We might have seen on storage conditions in the synthetic drugs also, it need to be stored above 25 degrees, below 25 degrees, like that. Why? Because it determines the stability of that particular compound. If it is not stored properly, there are chances of undergoing degradation. That's why proper storage is also important. For example, The aloe vera should have the moisture content not more than 10% weight by volume. Okay? Optical rotation. What is optical rotation? Where we will come across this? We will be determining the optical activity of any compound, isn't it? The few of the compounds or the drugs will be optically active and few will not be active. Whether a few of the constituents will be existing in the form of enantiomers, in that one we will be determining the optical rotation. What is the instrument that is used for determining the optical rotation? Yeah, polarimeter, where we will be taking a sample cell that will be loaded with the sample, and we will be placing when the light that passes through, when it rotates the light towards right, what it is? When it has an ability to rotate, we will be calling that as optically active. When it doesn't have an ability to rotate the plain polarized light, we will be calling that compound as inactive. So by means of polarimeter, by using the plain polarized light, we will be estimating whether the given compound is optically active or inactive. When it consists of two enantiomers in 50:50 ratio, that means it is called as racemic mixture, and it doesn't have any optical activity, and thereby some of the times there won't be any activity for that. Biological significance will also not be there for the racemic mixture too. So here the castor oil will have an optical rotation from +3.5 to +6. Then refractive index. Why this refractive index is important? Because that is very simple term where there will be deviation from the light path when it is moving from one medium to another medium with different densities. Okay, so we will be using this refractive index because this will have a specificity for specific drugs. So this is also one of the quality control tool. Ash value and extractives already we have discussed. Now we will see the different analytical tools that are being used in the standardization and quality control of the drugs. Electrophoretic method. What is electrophoresis? The movement of the ionic particles under the influence of the electric current, we will be calling that as electrophoresis. So here, next slide. So this is the electrophoresis equipment what we will be using. We will have a capillary tube detector and two electrodes will be present, and two electrodes, this is cathode and this is anode. Under the influence of the electric current, there will be movement of, earlier slide, there will be movement of the ions or the ionic particles that we will be seeing. Under the electrophoretic method, the most important one is the capillary electrophoresis. So here the CE represents the capillary electrophoresis. This is used for the separation. All the qualitative tools, that means analytical tools, are used for separation primarily and for identification then. Okay, separation followed by identification, what we call it as qualitative analysis, and quantitative, where we will be quantifying how much the active constituents that are present, that is called quantitative analysis. And here in the electrophoretic method, the capillary electrophoresis is the mostly used one. Here this serves the purpose of separation and analysis of active ingredients in herbal medicines, as this particular electrophoretic technique requires very minor quantity of the sample for the analysis. So that is the one advantage, and this is also very important because it produces chemical fingerprints. See why IR region is called a fingerprint region. This you might have studied number of times. Because every functional group will have its own absorption and it will produce a absorption peak. Okay, so that means what the fingerprint means, our impression. Kada? So every human individual will have their unique thumbprints. Similarly, here also all the components, all the drugs will have a chemical fingerprint. That means the constituents will have a chemical fingerprint. That's why this tool is very helpful in identifying and the analysis of the constituents. And this is a versatile tool and powerful separation because of high efficiency in separation because of its selectivity. And reproducibility is also more. Okay. And here many of the drugs, especially the alkaloids, flavonoids are being extensively studied by means of capillary electrophoresis, because here the selectivity of this particular electrophoretic technique is very high in case of low molecular weight mass components. And next is most of the used techniques are under capillary electrophoresis. The most used tools are capillary zone electrophoresis, capillary gel electrophoresis and capillary isoelectric focusing electrophoresis. Next is the hyphenated technique, which is GC-IR-MS, gas chromatography, infrared, mass spectroscopy. This is a combined, or I can say that it is a hyphenated technique where, see, in gas chromatography there is an elution, that means a separation of the components based upon the absorption, isn't it? So what the elute that comes will be entering into the IR, which will be helping. This IR and mass spectroscopy are useful for identification. If you see these three, among that the first one is gas chromatography, which is used for the isolation of the chemical constituents. Then it is hyphenated or combined with the IR and mass spectroscopy. These two are used for identification. Okay, separation and identification can be done by the use of GC-IR-MS. And this was first developed by Scott and et al. And whatever the eluted solute was absorbed in a cool packed tube and then thermally regenerated into infrared vapor cell. So whatever the eluted solute that is separated in the gas chromatography will be entering into the IR, then followed by the mass spectroscopy, where you will get the mass fragments based upon which we can determine the molecular weight of the phytoconstituents that are being separated. Here, subsequent to the IR spectrum being obtained, a small sample of the vapor was drawn from the IR cell into low resolution mass spectrometer, and the mass spectrum was also recorded. Here, the bioactive constituents of the herbal medicines are volatile. Gas chromatography analysis is used for the authentication and as a tool for quality control. Okay, and here the high selectivity of the columns, because we can use the columns based upon the nature of the ingredients that we were interested to isolate. Based upon that, we can select the columns. The selectivity will give the flexibility of this particular technique. So the identification and quantification of the chemical constituents can be done by means of this, and this is the example where eugenol is estimated by using the DB5 fused silica capillary column. That means this is the column ID that has been used. And this is the diagrammatic representation. Here you can see this is the gas chromatography, okay, and whatever the fumes that are coming, that means the vapor that comes out will be entering into the IR, in turn mass spectrometer. In mass spectrometer we will be getting the peaks. This is below one is mass spectrum and this is IR. Chromatograms are obtained and you will we can estimate the compound based upon the molecular weight peaks that we can notice here. High performance liquid chromatography, HPLC DAD. What is HPLC DAD? DAD, DAD, diode array detector. We might have studied that diode array detector is a very what we can say high sensitive detector which can detect the compounds with a high specificity and selectivity. Okay, here also this HPLC DAD will be again hyphenated with the mass spectroscopy. See, here earlier, when we take 10 years earlier, a decade earlier, there were no such hyphenated techniques where we used to have a single component analysis. Like when we will be using chromatography, we will be having HPLC or TLC. And when we want to subject for the functional group analysis, we will be analyzing the samples by means of IR. So we don't have such hyphenated techniques. Then after this advances, there were hyphenated techniques, and what is the use of this hyphenated techniques are, see, at a time simultaneously we can qualitatively and quantitatively identify the compounds, isolate the compounds. See, when we want to go for HPLC, we will be getting different bands, and then we need to isolate that bands, and then we need to subject that for mass spectroscopy again if we go for individual techniques. But in hyphenated technique, what I told in the earlier method, whatever the in gas chromatography, whatever the constituents that are being separated are converted into the vapors, and then they will be entering into the IR, then mass. So what is happening, whatever the eluted solids are simultaneously being identified, that means the bands are subjected for complete identification process. Because in HPLC also, here also you can see HPLC, DAD and mass spectrometer, that is mass spectroscopy. This is also one of the hyphenated technique, advanced technique, where this DAD and MS are used for the identification, and HPLC is used for the separation of the phytochemical constituents. Okay, so HPLC, which we will be calling that as high performance liquid chromatography technique, this is also the bands that are produced are specific for a given sample or a given constituents. That's why this is also called fingerprint. Okay, so there is increasing range usage of LCMS, HPLC, DAD along with other technique also, like HPLC, DAD, MS technique, which is having an advantage of separation, and DAD and MS is used for the identification of the components. Okay, not only this, there may be usage of UV visible spectroscopy also along with the MS. Okay, with the help of this hyphenation, one could identify the chromatographic peak directly by comparison with the literature data. Okay, so this is also one of the technique for the identification or for the purity of the component. This is the diagrammatic representation of this is HPLC chamber, and here this is the column what we will be using, and there is an interface which will be connecting the mass spectroscopy. So you will be having the mass spectrum analysis here in the form of the peaks, and detection will be done by means of diode, which you have seen in the earlier diagram. Chromatographic fingerprinting. This is the most simplest analytical tool is the chromatographic fingerprinting. This is used for the identification of the components. Okay, because this gives a flexibility of choosing a wide range of solvents for the separation process, That's why this chromatography is the most extensively used analytical tool in the identification of the phytoconstituents as well as synthetic drugs also, which you might have done in your labs too. Next hyphenated technique is GCFID. What is FID? Flame ionization detector. See, with earlier we have seen what is that diode array detector, and here it is flame ionization detector. Along with that there is thermal conductivity detector. Both are being used in combination with gas chromatography. Here the coupling of capillary column gas chromatography with FTIR is also possible, because Fourier transform infrared spectrophotometer, which will be giving, I told you it is also called as fingerprint region, FTIR, because it gives a complete picture of the functional groups that are present in any compound. Okay, this is the diagrammatic representation. And next is DNA fingerprinting. See, as the techniques are advancing, there is an advancement in the standardization and the quality control of the herbal medicine also. And here this DNA fingerprinting, where the DNA analysis of the constituents are being carried out. So this technique is useful for the identification of phytochemically indistinguishable genuine drug from substituted or adulterated. That means we can distinguish what the compound is and whether that compound is a genuine one or adulterated one by means of DNA fingerprinting. Here, in case of DNA fingerprint genome, which will be remain same irrespective of the plant. See, the DNA, which is very important for us also, we will be going for DNA. You might have heard also for identification of the siblings or whatever, we will be going for the DNA test, isn't it? So here this DNA, it will be specific for a given plant and it won't change also. So this is very important, that DNA fingerprint genome will remain the same irrespective of the plant part that is being used, and while the phytochemical content will vary with the plant part used, physiology and environment. See, the DNA will be remain same for all parts of the plant, but the phytochemical constituents will vary. So this particular the DNA fingerprinting technique can be used for the identification of plant irrespective of the parts. Okay? So this concept of fingerprinting has been increasingly applied in the past few decades to determine the ancestry of plants, that means origin of the plants, from where it might have been derived. Okay, and genotypic characterization of plant species and strains is also useful. And additional motivation for using DNA fingerprinting on commercial herb drugs is the availability of intact DNA plant samples after they process it. That means this particular DNA will be intact, though the plant material has been processed, it will be remain the same in the processed plant also. That's why it is a very good tool for identification. Similarly, there is a genetic marker, that means a few of the times the genetic marker is used, that is a gene or a sequence of gene that will be used for the identification. It can be described as a variation which may arise due to mutation or alteration in the genomic locale that can be observed. That means this genetic marker is nothing but the short form of a gene or DNA sequence that will be used, that will be having a single base pair change. When there is a change, then it can be easily noticed and identified. Next, metabolomics technique. This is also recent advancement this particular technique is especially used to identify the phytochemical constituents that are present in any herbal medicine. See, the phytochemical constituents of first, this is the plant in which metabolomic technique has been used, that is sophoroflavescens, in which it is analyzed and further their effect on pregnein X receptor and cytochrome regulation was studied by using metabolomics technique. And this particular metabolomics is also hyphenated with NMR and used as an approach for the analysis of the herbal medicine. Thermal analysis of herbal drugs. Thermal analysis. What we will be using in the thermal analysis? Yeah, we will be applying the temperature. And here in the thermal analysis, we will be using a temperature of 25 to 1000 degrees centigrade will be applied and will be studied for the identification of the plant material, or to estimate the purity of the component. We will be going for the thermal analysis technique. Under thermal analysis, we have three techniques, that is thermogravimetric analysis, then differential thermal analysis and differential scanning calorimeter. Here we have different parameters like retention time is important, and the degradation products that are formed after subjecting this sample for the thermal analysis is also important. And here the time retention, the time and the temperature are the two variations that will be considered for the analysis of this particular samples in this thermal analytical technique. That means with respect to the time or with respect to the temperature, the analytical concept will be applied and the quality of the component will be studied. Okay, so here the TGA may be operated under sub-ambient conditions to analyze ethanol in herbal formulations such as avasas and aristas, and the optimized extraction by distillation will be, that means the volatile content when it is subjected for the temperature, it will be evaporated, and then the remnant will be studied as an estimation parameter. Okay, and this is the thermal analytical equipment that has been used. Next is X-ray powder diffractometer, or XRPD we can say. Okay, so X-ray powder analysis is also one of the advanced technique which is used for the identification of the powder constituents that are obtained from the plant material, and the constituents can be estimated by means of X-ray powder diffraction. But the primary requirement for applicability of this technique is it should have the crystalline structure. The amorphous nature cannot be, amorphous compounds cannot be estimated by this technique. Okay, next. Next is differential pulse polarography. Okay, see, this is a technique that is used for the identification of trace elements that are present in the compound. Earlier I told you in the identification of the heavy metals, we in our labs we have done the limit test, isn't it? But we have advanced techniques like differential pulse polarography, by which we can easily qualitatively as well as quantitatively we can estimate the heavy metals that are present in the given sample. Okay, so this is used to study the trace amounts of the chemicals that will be ranged from 10 to 8 molar, and here the heavy metals like see, all this will be studied or successfully identified in case of calendula flowers by this technique. So this is the plant from by what we get, the heavy metals are being estimated. Next, this is very important technique nowadays, it is being used, that is supercritical fluid chromatography. See, supercritical fluid chromatography is also green analytical technique. alternative chromatographic technique. These are the names that are given for this particular technique, because in other techniques, in other chromatographic techniques, we might have seen the usage of large quantities of the organic solvents, isn't it? With the usage of organic solvents, there are hazardous effects that are being reported also. So here, in case of this a supercritical fluid chromatography, there is less usage of the organic solvents, thereby it produces less or no hazardous effects. But sometimes here there will be usage of the solid carbon, that is compressed carbon dioxide in major proportion, along with a less proportion of ethanol is used here. During the process, though there is less usage of ethanol, because of it is a flammable one, the precautions need to be taken. But here, this supercritical fluid chromatography, as I told, it is a green technique, analytical technique, where there is less usage of the organic solvents also. This is being extensively used in the analysis of the compounds. Now, say the growing hazardous effects of the synthetic chemicals, what I explained, and organic solvents on the environment as well as the humans were reported by usage of organic solvents. So this particular supercritical fluid chromatography is a step towards the green chemistry principles. And this supercritical fluid chromatography technique is used as an alternative conventional technique, where like HPLC, where we will be using extensively the organic solvents, isn't it? In HPLC we will be using large quantity of the organic solvents for the separation of the components. So here we will be using compressed carbon dioxide with a small portion of organic solvents. I covered all this. And most importantly, along with this particular technique, which is eco-friendly, here this analytical material that is being subjected for analysis, okay, is maintained as this particular process is carried out in absence of oxygen, so oxidation won't be taking place, and in absence of light, so there won't be any process of photolysis will be taking place. So here the complete components, whatever that are being subjected for the analytical procedure, will be maintained stably till the process of identification. That is the only thing that can be noticed in supercritical fluid chromatographic technique. Next hyphenated technique is inductively coupled plasma mass spectroscopy. If you see all the hyphenated technique, you can notice the mass chromatography as a part of all the hyphenated techniques, because it directly gives the values of the mass values of the component, so that the identification of that component will be very easy. Okay, so here inductively coupled plasma. Here, see, this method is used along with other hyphenated technique, but this method has gained more attention because the elements that are present in the plants can be analyzed by means of inductively coupled plasma method. Okay, so whatever the elements that are present in the constituents can be easily identified by means of this hyphenated technique. So coming to the conclusion, see, we have seen different what the herbal drug is and how best, what is the need of standardization of any particular herbal medicine, and different techniques that are involved in the standardization as well as quality control. So it is very much required to use the quality control examination of the herbs, which can be regulated to gain the required quality of the products. As I told you, because of the variation in the phytochemical constituents with the region's geographical distribution, the phytochemical constituents varies. But in for the synthetic drugs, there are stringent guidelines that are being issued and the quality can be maintained standardly. But in case of herbal medicine, because of the lack of stringent guidelines, and these guidelines cannot be followed same for all the plants because of the varied phytochemical constituents, we need to develop still a lot of techniques to standardize or for the quality control of the herbal medicine. I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share the platform in this FDP program. Thank you so much, and I thank the participants too for patient listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for an overview. Now I request Pradeep Kumar sir and Sudhir Kumar sir for felicitation of our speaker.
సాయం జూన్ చేసినావా